Here, what up? In effect, hit the deck. I got a wild looking situation going on right now. It's about to be fixed. Give it a second. But and let me tell y'all something. Free agency is in full effect. Let's be clear about that right now. Free agency is in full effect. Let's get to the bottom of that right now. Free agency is in full effect. 100% it is. So be clear. I'm so charged about this. Man. Yes, sir. Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls all over the world, welcome to Chilltown Hoops. You know what time it is. When you see me, you know what it is. You think because the season is over and we have an NBA champ, that means that you don't get to see me when we don't get to talk about hoops until next year or next season. No, this when the actual season starts, right? This is when the whole thing starts, all of it. So with that being said, right? With that being said, we had some action. Free agency just started on Sunday. Free agency started on Sunday. And with free agency starting, we had some interesting moves. Paul George, Klay Thompson, Maxey gets an extension, Jason Tatum, all of these people. I will say this. What up, Dal? How you doing, brother? The one of the guys that I really liked, one of the guys whose extension that I really liked was, I feel like what Philly did with bringing Andre Drummond in, I think that was a big deal. I think Oklahoma City dropped the ball on that because I think that they could have got him on the cheap. 100% they could have got him on the cheap. And we're getting him on the cheap for that value, for what he brings, the glass cleaner that he is. Not only the glass cleaner that he is, him running the floor, the value that he would have brought to your crew, the veteran leadership that he would have brought to your crew, man, I'm having a hard time. I'm having a hard time believing that for $10 million, they couldn't have done that in Oklahoma City. I think getting Hartenstein was a big deal for them because he shores up an issue that they had. And not only an issue that they had, he shores up a problem in terms of toughness. He shores up a problem in terms of not interior scoring, but more of a guy who can rebound, a guy who can defend, and they have defenders who he can capitalize off of, and they also have a guy that they can capitalize off of. So I'm loving Hartenstein. When this whole thing jumped off, right? When this whole thing jumped off, the first thing I was thinking, and this was in the middle of the season, I'm thinking to myself, there's three guys who are on my radar if I'm Oklahoma City. Three of them. That was Valanciunas, that was Claxton, and that was Hartenstein. I'm sorry. And with these three guys, I didn't think Hartenstein would cost as much, but I knew the Knicks couldn't pay him. I knew the Knicks couldn't pay him as much. So do I blame Hartenstein for leaving the Knicks for Oklahoma City? You know, my brother works in the money industry, and my brother told me all money ain't good money. And he's right. All money ain't good money. But to go to Oklahoma City, get on a young crew that's on the up, that's, for lack of a better term, they're on the come up, 100%. They're one of the better teams in the Western Conference. And to go play there and plug in a hole that they need, which is a 5-man to rebound, to get buckets around the basket. They actually have a distributor in Shea. Shea can pass. So with Shea being able to pass, Hartenstein on the pick and dive, on the pick and pop in the mid post, that works. I love that. And on defense with him and Chet, he brings a toughness that they didn't have last year. Now, you add Chet and you add him into that, right? You add him into that, and now we're cooking with gas. We are cooking with grease in Oklahoma City. We are cooking with grease. And the idea that, all money ain't good money, I do understand that. But what I will say with that is, to play for a team like that for $15 more million, and if I'm not mistaken, I think Hartenstein, he's a Midwest dude, if I'm not mistaken, right? If I'm not mistaken, I think correct me if I'm wrong. Don't quote me on this, but correct me if I'm wrong. But for some reason, I thought he went to Kansas. I don't know why, but I thought he went to Kansas. I know he's a West Coast dude. I do know that, but I thought he went to Kansas. Maybe I'm wrong, right? Maybe I'm wrong, but I thought he went to Kansas. Somebody straighten me out with that, because I think that's where he went. I'm not sure, but I think he went to Kansas. With that being said, if you get Hartenstein, and then on top of that, you're able to shore up Andre Drummond too. I know he's from Oregon. I didn't know he went to Oregon. I thought he went to Kansas. I'm sorry. Yeah, I know he's from up in Oregon. I just didn't know he went to Oregon. But anyway, if you bag Hartenstein, but then you turn around and you go after Drummond, should have been on their board too. I'm convinced of that. Drummond should have been on their board. For him to go to Philly on a 2-year deal for $10 million, we could have done that. We could have done that. 100% we could have done that. And not only could we have done that, he makes us so much better. Imagine Andre Drummond in their rotation. Imagine that. Imagine Andre Drummond in their rotation right now with Hartenstein, with Chet, with Shea, with J-Dub. Josh Giddey's now gone. With Alex Caruso. I love Oklahoma City and what they're doing. What up, Bank? How you doing, brother? I love Oklahoma City and what they're doing. I love it. I think they dropped the ball on Andre Drummond. I think that they could have shored him up. There aren't many crews that I see Andre Drummond, right? There aren't many crews that I see Andre Drummond on that I think work. Him being back in Philly playing behind Joel Embiid, I don't hate it. I don't. He gives them a glass cleaner that they didn't have. I think they're going to lose Paul Reed in free agency. And because of that, you bring in Andre Drummond to give you that need that you didn't have. And I think this is third stint with Philly. If I'm not mistaken, this is second or third stint with Philly. So Philly inks Maxey to a max deal, which I'm digging that, but they lose Melton. Losing DeAnthony Melton was big. That was huge for them. And he's one of the better rotation players in the game. I don't think he's better than Monk. I don't think he's better than Naz Reid. I don't think he's better than Norman Powell, but I definitely think he's one of the better rotation players in the game. And to lose him in free agency, that was a big deal, yo. That was a big deal for Philly. You guys all talk to me about Paul George signing with Philly like it's 2K, because that's how y'all put this all together, like it's a video game. Not realizing, one, Paul George ain't what he used to be. He's not. Paul George is still awesome. I won't argue that. I won't. Paul George is still awesome. But Paul George isn't what he used to be. And because Paul George isn't what he used to be, him not being able to play last year because He got not this season that just passed, but the year before that, missed the playoffs because he had a hyperextended knee. He played this year. He had an all-star caliber season. Going into this season, he's going to be 34 years old. What's the difference in what they're doing in Philly and what they're doing with the Clippers? What's the difference? Because I said to you guys a year ago when you asked me about the Clippers are going to be this, the Clippers are going to be that. The one guy that's the post that's holding up this tent was Leonard. He goes to pieces, they go to pieces. It's really that elementary. He falls off, they fall off. And what happened? He fell off. For the fourth time in 5 years, by the way. Right? For the fourth time in 5 years. He falls off, they fall off. Same logic in Philadelphia. I don't personally think, I heard Joel Embiid say he's got 6 or 7, I think he said something like 7 or 8 years, 6 or 7 years to win the NBA championship. I don't think he's going to hold up that long. I don't. I think Joel Embiid, I think he holds up for 2, maybe 3 more years tops. That's as far as I'm going with him. That's as far as I don't think he's I don't think he plays at the level he's playing at. I don't think he plays at that level past 3 years. He came into the game broken. With him coming into the game broken, missing 2 years, he's been injury plagued. Now, don't get me wrong. He's played at an MVP level. Had he not broken down this year, he probably would have won the MVP again. But he did break down. He did. So with that being said, the 76ers rely heavily on this dude. And Joel Embiid is a guy who I actually believe, if he could stay healthy, I think he could throw them on his back and take them to the NBA championship. I think he's that good. Problem is, he can't stay healthy. That's the problem. He can't stay healthy. If he could stay healthy enough, they have a very good shot at winning. Now, here's the problem with him not being able to stay healthy enough. The problem is that when he gets hurt, you're going to look to Paul George to pick up the slack, and he's not going to be able to do that because you still think he's Paul George in Oklahoma City. You still think he's Paul George who just got to the Clippers. He's not that Paul George anymore. No, he's not. Paul George is now even though he's always been a complimentary player, he's even more of a complimentary player today. So with him being more of a complimentary player today, more of that today, that means there's going to be less of him to go around. What I mean when I say less of him to go around, there's going to be less of him to defend more. There's going to be less of him to score more. There's going to be less of him to distribute and play me because that ain't really his game anymore because he's older. Now I got Maxey in the fold, who you sign Maxey off the strength that you sign Maxey off the strength that with signing Maxey is insurance. What I mean, I don't mean insurance like Kirk Cousins and RG3 insurance. No, I don't think that. I'm not saying that kind of insurance. I'm saying the kind of insurance where when this thing goes the other way with Joel Embiid, I still got my franchise lead guard. And I can still build around him. So when this thing goes the other way with Joel Embiid in 2-3 years tops, I got a 25-year-old Tyrese Maxey who I probably have another 8-9 years where I can build around him. And I'm doing that. But the question that needs to be answered with the question that needs to be answered with this Philly team, and I'm wondering this. Actually, I'm not wondering it. I already feel like this, but does this move put the Philadelphia 76ers over the Knicks? I ain't talking about Boston. Let's just take Boston off the table for a second. Does this put them over the Knicks? If you think, I'm thinking about the Eastern Conference just specifically. Does this put them over the Knicks? I don't think so. Are they better than Indiana with this move? Yeah, I think we can have a serious conversation with Joel Embiid being healthy. I think they're better than Indiana. But Indiana losing their big fella, who I love, that kid Johnson from Maryland, I love him. I love him, but does this put them over Milwaukee? I'm not sold on Milwaukee. I've never really been sold on Milwaukee. I think Milwaukee is fool's gold, and the fact that they still have things that they have to shore up. They still got to deal with their perimeter defense. And when I tell you that, and I know that a lot of people don't want to hear it, and a lot of people don't want to hear it, and I'm a big component when it comes to non-contact injuries. When I see a guy like Giannis come up lame on a non-contact injury, what that does is that gets my wheels turning because Giannis's game is predicated on flight and athleticism. So I'm asking myself, is this the beginning of the end? Because I'm thinking that before I see that, I'm thinking I got 5-6 more years at this level. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking I got 5-6 more years at this level. But then I see non-contact injuries. The back injury, he fell on his back. That's what happened. That wasn't a situation where that was something different, where that was a non-contact injury. No, Kevin Love took a charge and he fell on his back and he got hurt. All right. So does this make Philly better than Milwaukee? I'm not sold on Milwaukee. As good as Giannis is, I'm not sold on him. Nope. I'm not sold on him at all. So I don't think they're better than Boston. And from a talent standpoint, I don't think they're better than the Knicks. For what the Knicks added, nope. I don't think that they're better than Boston. I don't think that they're better than the Knicks. I think we can have a conversation about Cleveland. I think we can have a conversation about Indiana. But I do think that they're a top 5 seed in the East. And it's all going to be predicated on one guy, and that's Joel Embiid. If he can hold up, I think he's good enough. I feel like he's good enough that he could throw this unit on his back and they can win the NBA championship like Olajuwon did. I feel like he could do that. So with that being said, do I hate the move with Paul George? I don't hate it. I hate it for the Clippers because James wrote the blueprint, ladies and gentlemen. James wrote the blueprint on what not to do when your star player will not sign an extension. What was the problem with Paul George signing an extension with the Clippers? Well, the problem was the years. The Clippers were only willing to go to 3 years. Paul George wanted 4. He wasn't willing to go that. They weren't willing to go that far. And then we have a deal. Where I don't know how true this is, but sources say that Golden State was offering Jonathan Kuminga, Andrew Wiggins, and draft picks for Paul George, and the Clippers said no. Which, on the one hand, I'm thinking to myself, they just wouldn't give. They're not giving Paul George to Golden State. On the one hand, I'm thinking that. And on the other hand, I'm thinking to myself, it's not my job to help make your team better. That is not my job. That is not my job to do that. That is not my job to make your team better. No, that's your job to make your team better. I don't have just when you put a deal on the table, right? When you put a deal on the table, I can look at it. I can say yes. I can say no. Like, for example, Chris Paul and Zach LaVine. I mean, if the Bulls are offering Zach LaVine for Chris Paul and you turn that down, and I'm not even a big Zach LaVine fan. I'm not a big Zach LaVine fan. But with that being said, I'm not sure I would have said no to that. I'm not sure that I would have said no to that at all. But I understand why the Bulls said no. They didn't like that price tag of $30 million. They wasn't interested in that. Because it looks to me like the Bulls actually have a plan. It looks like they actually do have a plan, right? And the plan looks like it is. The plan looks like it's The plan looks like we're going to build around Mateus with Josh Giddey and Kobe White. If that's the plan, tell the people in Chicago that. They'll get behind you. Just don't BS them. Don't BS them. Do not BS them. So, with that being said, it's not my job to help your team get better. And I don't blame the Clippers for that. I don't. What I do blame them for is letting Paul George walk out the front door. Just like I had a problem with Danny Ainge letting Kyrie Irving walk out the front door. I noticed that Sean Marks did not let Kyrie Irving walk out the front door. He had no intention in paying Kyrie Irving, none whatsoever. But I tell you what, I'm not going to do. He ain't walking out the front door. I would have never traded him, to be quite honest with you. We would have had to figure that out. I would have never traded Kyrie Irving. I'm not doing that. Nope. But that's just me. I would have made him and Kevin Durant work it out. And with that being said, since we're on the subject of the Golden State Warriors, they lose Klay Thompson to the Dallas Mavericks for one reason and one reason only. It was about Klay Thompson felt disrespected. Because the deal he signed was actually for less money than what the Warriors offered him. Last summer, the Warriors put 2 years at $48 million on the table. That was the difference. So he got so the difference with Klay is Klay got another year, right? Klay got another year and less money. So Klay now at $50 million, which there's no way that you selling me that we couldn't have worked that out with the Warriors. There's no way you selling me that we couldn't have worked that out. None. Klay took this deal with the Mavs to stick it to the Warriors. He didn't do it for any other reason. Because it wasn't about the bread. Because if it was about the bread, he would have took the $48 million that the Warriors offered him. He didn't take the $48 million off the strength that he felt like that wasn't enough. He's a legacy guy. So I should be looking at way more than $48 million. I should have been looking at 3 years, $75 million. That's what I should have been looking at from you guys. Just off the strength that we were garbage when I got here. Right? We were garbage when I got here. And the fact that we was garbage when I got here, and now we were the cream of the crop for almost a decade. We went to the finals 6 times in 8 years, winning 4. There's some thank you money that should have been involved in this. I think that's what Klay was looking at. But I think that they did right by him. I mean, he had 2 career-ending injuries. They still paid him. So now he's in Dallas. So with him being in Dallas, now we have a ball-dominant. We got a ball-dominant Luka. Right? We got a ball-dominant Luka. With having a ball-dominant Luka, the ball doesn't move that much. The offense doesn't flow that much, which it did when he was in Golden State. Now, there's not a lot of pin downs, not a lot of action. So with that being said, I got to play off Luka, and I'm going to be more of a spot-up shooter. And with me being more of a spot-up shooter, how is that conducive to my game? Because Klay is more of a pin down, off curl cuts, off fades, in transition. That's why I thought that him being in Indiana was great. How fast they played. He's got a distributor in Tyrese Halliburton, with him having a distribute. Not just how fast they play, him coming off the bench, them looking for him. And they got defenders in Indiana that could protect him. They don't have that. And they don't have that in Dallas. So now you got 2 liabilities on defense. You got both Luka and Klay Thompson. Right? You got 2 liabilities now. So now that you got 2 liabilities, because Klay Thompson is not the defender that he used to be. Right? So with Klay Thompson not being the defender that he used to be, What does that mean for him offensively? That means that he better damn sure be. What's up? Peace, chill. Peace, chill. I'm sorry. Peace, God. He better damn sure be a knockdown shooter. Is he a better version of Tim Hardaway Jr.? Yes, he is. I still think to this day he better than Tim Hardaway. Today. Not much better, but I still think he better. But he's not the defender that he used to be. His lateral movement isn't what it used to be. He's not the one-on-one defender that he used to be. He was an all-league defender at one point. He's not close to that anymore. So with that being said, if I'm not that anymore, I know what I better be. I better be able to knock down shots on the regular. I better be able to do that. I think Klay shot 38% on the long ball open when he was open. A lot of you guys will tell me that Klay Thompson, he took bad shots. All right, well, just so you know, those bad shots that he took, those are the same shots he was getting 5 years ago. The offense hasn't changed. With Draymond, with him, Draymond, Curry, the offense hasn't changed. It's still a lot of action, a lot of ball movement, a lot of pin downs, flare cuts, curl cuts. There's a lot of stuff like that. That's still going on. The difference is that he was making those shots years ago. He's not making those shots today. And because he's not making those shots today, they look like bad shots. They were always bad shots. Always. It's just that he was making them. And now that he's not making them, well, it's his shot selection. So now he's playing with a more ball-dominant guy in Luka. The ball doesn't hop as much. There isn't much action like it was in Golden State. He's got a better playmaker in Luka than Draymond. I won't argue that. 100%. He's got a better playmaker in Luka. The question is him as a spot-up shooter, how much better is Klay Thompson as a spot-up shooter than he is on the move? I think he's better on the move, considering that's where he's had his most success. Coming off curl cuts, coming off pin downs, flare. I just think he's a better shooter in that aspect. Now, with that being said, that's probably not going to be the case. That's probably not going to be the case in Dallas because Luka dominates the ball, right? Now, for him to say, for Klay Thompson to say, I would have came off the bench for the Golden State Warriors. Well, if that's true, then why didn't you take the money last year? Why didn't you take the $48 million that they put on the table? Why didn't you take the 48 for 2 last year? Well, if that was true, to answer my own question, it was about respect. That $48 million was a slap in the face. He thought that one, it should have been more years. So instead of 2 years, it should have been 3 years. And on top of that, that $48 million should have been like 75. And the Golden State Warriors were not going to 25 million. They weren't. Not with Klay Thompson, they weren't. They were not going to 25 million with him. They got these kids that they're trying to develop and they're trying to get better. Flip side to that is that they have Steph Curry, who's still elite. They have Steph Curry, who's still elite. So with Curry still being elite, what do? We can't keep the band together and think that we're going to win. No. We can't keep the band together and think we're going to win because we're going backwards. We won the championship in 22. In the process of winning the championship in 22, which was the best time that we had, that was the best opportunity that we had to move off of those guys, Draymond, Klay, and get the best value for them. That was the best time to do that. We didn't. So then the next year we lose to the Lakers, get smoked, and it's not smoked. We get handled in 6 games. The window is still open to move off of these dudes. The window is still open to move off of these dudes. But then you get this year where you've completely regressed. And it's obvious that what we used to have, we don't have it anymore. So now you lose Klay for nothing. That's just bad business. That's bad business. That is bad business for this Golden State team because you had an opportunity to move off of them dudes and upgrade this unit with Jackson, Pods, Moody, Kuminga. You had an opportunity to upgrade this unit and you didn't. You want to stick with the crew that you already had. Hey, Kenny. You want to stick with the crew that you already had. And because of that, this is where we are. And now you lose Klay for nothing. And I'm inclined to believe that a guy like Klay Thompson, who's still, I mean, he's not what he used to be. I won't argue that. I'm not going as far to say that he's washed, because I don't think he's washed. Like when I think about guys who are washed, and I think about guys who are over, like John Wall is over. John Wall is finished. Like guys like that, right? I feel like guys like John Wall are over. I don't think Klay is over. What he used to be, he's not that, but he's still very much viable. We can still use him, right? We can still use Klay Thompson, and he can still be an integral part of what we're doing. So, with that being said, the question that I asked you about Philly, right? The question that I asked you about Philly, does that same logic apply with Dallas? Where does this put Dallas in the pantheon of Western Conference teams? Are they still better than? Are they better than Oklahoma City? I don't think so. How about Minnesota? I mean, they handled Minnesota in 5 games. I'm not sure that. I'm not sure that Minnesota is. I'm not sure. I'm not sure Dallas ain't better than them. I think Dallas. I don't think that was something that was just. I don't think that was a fluke. I don't think that at all. Denver. I don't think Denver's done making moves. I don't think they're better than Memphis, because Memphis gets their whole crew back. Everybody. They get Ja back. They get Desmond Bane back. They get Marcus Smart back. They get Jaren Jackson back. Now you get Gigi back in the fold. You get Brandon Clark back in the fold. I don't think they're better than them. Are they better than the Clippers? I think so. I've been way out on the Clippers. I'm not sort of kind of out on the Clippers. I've been out on the Clippers. So Oklahoma City, Denver, Minnesota, the Clippers, Phoenix, Houston. Let's see, Sacramento. These are the teams that I'm thinking about when I think about Dallas in the Western Conference. And I think Houston's going to give them everything that I think Houston and Memphis are going to give Dallas everything that they're looking for. Right? I think Houston is going to give them everything that they're looking for. So when I think about the teams in the Western Conference, Minnesota, Oklahoma City. I'm throwing out teams in the Western Conference: Minnesota, Oklahoma City, Houston, Sacramento. I think they're better than New Orleans. I'm out on Zion. I'm good. I'm out on Zion. I'm out on who he was supposed to be. I'm good. The same way I look at Joel Embiid, that's the way I look at Zion. I wanted 4 or 5 years of health. I'm obviously not going to get that. I'm obviously not going to get that. So because of that, this is probably who he is. And I'm out. And they're probably going to move off of Brandon Ingram. So with that being said, this team, this Dallas Maverick team, I think that they're going to be trouble in the Western Conference. Are they better than the Lakers? I don't know about that. That I don't know about. I'm not sure that they're better than the Lakers. I think that they got a favorable matchup, and I don't think what they did this season that just passed, I don't think it was a fluke. I want to make sure that I'm clear on that. I don't think that this was a fluke what they did. Nah, I don't think that. Because with what they did, right? With what Dallas did, they took advantage of some favorable matchups. Before the playoffs started, I thought that they beat the Clippers in 5 games. Instead, it took 6 games to beat them. Right? Instead of 5 games, it took 6 to beat them. I thought that they would handle them. I thought they were better than Oklahoma City because Oklahoma City was young. I didn't think that they were better than Minnesota. Minnesota ran into a buzzsaw. Minnesota straight ran into a buzzsaw. And with them now, with them now seeing what it is, because Anthony Edwards said it in the post-game interview, going deep into the playoffs, there's a certain mentality that I have to have physically and mentally to get deep into the playoffs. Getting deep into the playoffs, I'm not just going deep into the playoffs and doing the same thing I did last year. No, I got to take care of my body different. Mentally, I got to be different because it's different now. It's different now because I'm the hunted. So with that being said, I mean, for them to get handled like they did against Dallas, I'd have to say Dallas is better than them right now. Going into next season, I'd still have to say that Dallas is better than them right now. Now, I'd like to see that matchup again in the playoffs. But as of right now, I have to say that Dallas is better than them. I have to say that. So how they keep this thing together, right? How they keep this thing together is the $1 million question. That's the $1 million question. How they keep this thing together. Teams like Indiana signing OG Anunoby, I think that was an overpay. The fact that the Celtics re-upped both Derek White and Jason Tatum, I love that. And the reason why I love that is because winning the NBA championship, what we proved is we'll just run it back. Beat us. Beat us. See if you can beat us. Because we clearly had the best team in the NBA last year. Clearly. Now, don't get me wrong. I feel like there are teams who are going to upgrade their rosters. There are teams who are going to get better. The Knicks are a prime example of that. Are y'all better than us, though? With moving Mikal Bridges over? Are y'all better than us? With OG Anunoby already on the crew? You don't have a 5-man that's legit like that because, I mean, Mitchell Robinson is, I think Mitchell Robinson's made of glass. He telling us that, he played 60 games twice. Okay, 60 games ain't 70 games, ain't 82 games. Like 60 games isn't the bar. Since when does coming to work twice a week in a 5-day work week the bar? That's not the bar, sir. The bar is coming to work every day. That's the bar. I don't know where the hell we getting this logic that, 60 games is now the bar. No, it's an 82-game season. Why do I have to be happy with you playing 64 games? Why can't I expect you to come to work a day? Why can't I do that? So I still don't think that they're better than Boston. I think Boston is still better than them. But I think that's as far as I'm going with the Knicks. So with Boston inking Jason Tatum, with Boston inking Jason Tatum, with Boston inking Derek White, with Boston extending Peyton Pritchard, with Boston bringing Cornette back, with Boston bringing Cater back, with Boston bringing Sam Hauser back. Basically what we doing is we bringing the whole crew back. Beat us. Beat us. If you can't beat us, we'll run it back again. We will run it back again. I've seen this movie before. This isn't a situation like the 2019 Portland Trailblazers where you get mopped in the playoffs. This isn't a situation like the Atlanta Hawks where you get served when the majority of us know for a fact ain't no way you should have even been there. Ain't no way you should have been there. The majority of us know that, right? So, with that being said, this is a situation where, yo, beat us. We got better. We got better. So, my man Brian Pumper says with the super chat, he says, "Oh, I believe the loss of Hartenstein going to prove devastating for the Knicks. Skinny market with an injury-prone center, and not only skinny market, but add that skinny market to the fact that other teams have gotten better. So I got a question for you, because I mean I know how you feel about Hartenstein with Oklahoma City. How you feel about picking up the telephone and calling up the Trailblazers and asking for Robert Williams? I think it's a low risk, high reward. He's on the books for $25 million over 2 years. Not $25 million a year. He's on the books for $25 million over 2 years. The thing that you're concerned with is, can he stay healthy? If he can stay healthy, what kind of get would that be for you guys? Because I think Robert Williams is better than Mitchell Robinson. He's a better defender. He's a better passer. He's better around the rim. The problem with him is, I think he's made of glass. But if he's not, if what happened in Boston and what happened in Portland is a fluke, and you could get him on the cheap, how much better does he make your front line? I'd pick up the telephone and I'd call up the Trailblazers and check their temperature on Robert Williams. Yes, I would. 100% I would. See how y'all feeling about him. Because you got three bigs. You got three bigs on the roster. You drafted the kid from UConn, Klingon. Ayton is in the top 10 in the league in rebounding. And he's 17 a night. And he's playing with a league guard that doesn't really know what he's doing yet. What are you going to do with these three bigs? What are you going to do with these three bigs? Because I can tell you what you're not doing with them. You're not keeping all three of them. Right? You're not keeping. Not only are you not keeping all three of them, you'd be crazy to keep all three of them. You'd be crazy to keep all three of them. And 7 grams, which you don't know what trash is. You have no idea what trash is. If I'm a starting 5-man on an NBA Finals team, I am not trash. If I'm in the top 10 in the league in rebounding, and it's not empty, because I've seen empty rebounding. I've seen Hassan Whiteside. I've seen empty defense. I've seen empty rebounding. Ayton is not an empty rebounder. He is not. So with that being said, he is not trash. You just saying that. So I wonder if the Knicks had the nuts to do that. I do wonder that. So I'm interested to hear from you guys. I am. Which moves in free agency? Is there a move in free agency that you saw? Is there a move in free agency that you saw that you said, yo, that's a big move right there? I like that. What up?
There is a big move in free agency that I saw. And I think we need to pay close attention to the team that made the most noise before and during free agency, and that's the Oklahoma City Thunder. They basically stole Hartenstein right from under the Knicks' nose. Hartenstein probably had no business getting $87 million for 3 years. Maybe a lot of people think that's debatable.
So how they stole him then? How did they steal him if they overpaid for him?
They stole him because, like you said, Mitchell is made out of glass. Mitchell Rob is made out of glass. That's one of the he basically kind of saved that center position for the Knicks. Like let's keep it 100. Let's keep 100, man. Like he was putting on. I mean, if they overpaid for him, it's because they had the money to overpay for him. I mean, like OKC signing. This is probably their biggest signing out of free agency ever in the team history, if I'm not mistaken. Who have they signed? Like strictly out of free agency that play for a previous team. The PG thing was a trade. We know that.
Yeah.
And
Victor Oladipo was
I
traded.
guess if you want to say Carmelo, like that's what you're using.
Yep. Carmelo Anthony. Yep.
And we all seen how that turned out. And
he was a bigger deal. He
was a bigger deal. But but we all seen how that turned out. But in terms of fit, you basically swiped Caruso, who's an all-league defender, and I know how you feel about him. And you swiped somebody who was a big part of the New York Knicks identity, which was being a rebounder and a dirty work team. Now you got two guys that do the other stuff, like you like to say, on a team that basically kind of needed it.
How did they steal him, though, Leaf? That's my question to you. How did they steal him? The Knicks
maybe I chose the wrong word. Maybe I chose the wrong word.
I don't think they stole him. No.
Maybe it's not
they didn't steal him. They paid him $15 more million than what the Knicks offered.
More million, yeah. That was, so maybe it's not a steal.
No,
but I will
say he definitely fits their need. He definitely
fits their need. But I will say this: the New York Knicks will rule the day. They will rule the day that they let him walk. They will rule the day that they let him walk.
Well, here's the difference: they didn't let him walk. They offered him as much as they could offer him. They had $72 million on the table. Oklahoma City came with $15 million more. That was all that they could offer him. That was it, according to the CBA, and the way that things go with your free agents, which is dumb as hell to me. It makes me nuts because they own his bird rights, but they can only pay him a certain amount because it's a loophole in the CBA. But with that being said, they only were allowed to pay him. It's kind of like what happened with Boogie when he was in Golden State, and Boogie, he kind of screwed himself up because Phoenix put $100 million on the table. And he thought that he could get more. But what I'm saying is, Golden State could only afford to pay him this much. That was part of the CBA. Same thing with the Knicks. They could only afford to go to 72. That was it. If they could have went past 72, they would have done that.
They would have done that, and they would have probably had him. And
they would have definitely done that.
I think that's one of those things where the CBA comes into play, and basically, the team in this situation, the Knicks is somewhat of the odd team out. But this is if this is not a steal, this is a big signing to me. Along with the Caruso trade, man, like you just got better defensively. You got a guy that's a hustle guy in Hartenstein, man, and you know what he can do. You seen what he can do. You pairing him with SGA and J-Dub, and Chet, man. Like, you getting some attitude on the team. You getting some defensive dirty work on the team with Caruso, man. To me, I think this team could definitely be in the driver's seat, man. Like it's possible that they could start him and Chet at the 5 and the 4. And move J-Dub to the 3 and move Caruso to the 2. And
actually flip that around.
Flip it around? What you mean?
Flip that around. Put J-Dub at the 2 because I think he's a 2 guard. I don't think he's a small forward.
So you want Caruso at the 3?
Yeah, and put Caruso at the 3.
I guess. I mean, I guess I'm okay with that. But two more things I want to touch on. You're not gonna agree with this. You probably did. I don't want you to get loud with me like you got on playback, but I think we are really short. Anybody that's shortchanging themselves on what Klay Thompson is still capable of in this league, just as a shooter, bro. Like I'm telling you, I swear to you, y'all will rule the day. Listen, we have seen the end of the Splash Brothers as we know it. I didn't think it was ever going to come to an end, but it did. And we seen Steph Curry take the court when the season started without Klay Thompson, not once, not twice, but 3 times. One time, that last time, he eventually came back and they won the championship. But those 2 times before that, they didn't even touch the playoffs. So to me, Klay Thompson, man, who I thought was one of the most intricate parts and sacrificed the most for that Golden State dynasty, in my personal opinion.
So wait a minute, Leaf. You gotta put some context on that. So Steph got hurt, broke his hand. That's why they didn't make the playoffs, because he missed the whole season. So that's not fair. And then number two, the next year when he led the league in scoring and finished in the top 3 in league MVP votes, they lost in the play-in tournament. If the play-in tournament doesn't exist, they actually would have made the playoffs that year.
We
They
could say
finished
this.
8th.
We could say the same thing about the Pelicans this past year. You know what
What
I'm
can we say
saying?
about them?
We could say they would have been in a playoff series against the who was the number what was it they would have been in a playoff series, and we would have saw Zion in a
Right,
playoff game, in an actual playoff game, instead
right,
of seeing him in a playing game. So I
right.
mean, a lot of things could be true, man, but I don't like to go with ifs. I just like to go with what happened. The
And
bottom line is,
what happened was without the play-in tournament, they're a playoff team. Just like without the play-in tournament, New Orleans is a playoff team. That's a fact. That's a
yes,
fact.
listen. Okay, fine. Listen, you put your spin on it, and it's a fact. It is what it is, but we can't change none of that. We can't. We had the rewind button in the DeLorean. We would be able to change it, but we don't. But the bottom line is, I think that the end of the Splash Brothers, as we know it, marks and what I believe the player that has sacrificed the most for that dynasty. What he was about to do back in 2019 in that finals was nothing short of amazing to me.
Yeah.
And the way that he went down, he basically got if you ever seen Infinity War, the Avengers, he basically got hit with the Thanos snap. You know what I'm holding up right here. 2 years of his career went by, and the whole NBA changed. 900 days of his career went by, and he came back, and the whole NBA changed. Everything around him had changed.
Yeah,
But I think we selling ourselves, people that selling themselves short about what Klay Thompson is still capable of, even though he's nowhere near 2016 Klay or 2017 Klay or the Klay that he was before 2019 in Toronto happened. I think they're in for a rude awakening. Now, I want to move on to my last thing. That's the PG signing for two. First off, I don't think PG should have got nowhere near 212 million for 4 years. That's my first one. Number two, I think this gets in the way of Maxey, because Maxey, if I'm not mistaken, Maxey likes to speed the game up. He likes to get up and down the court.
You think Paul George is going to hold him up? You think Paul George is going to slow him down?
Yes, I do.
Why?
I honestly do.
Based on what?
Based on the fact that you already have somebody that slows down the offense in Joel.
Right.
And now you add a PG to it. You telling Maxey basically, yo, I need you to be a steady guard. I need you to be hold down the floor. I need you to do it. That's not his game. And he kind of got to make it his game, basically, or else. I think this is what I was afraid of when they signed at PG. I kind of wanted them to go for Klay.
So you think the Philadelphia 76ers are going to make Maxey, who they just signed to a max deal, you think they're going to make him sacrifice for an older Paul George? Is that what you think that they're doing?
I hope not, but I think that's what's going to happen. I honestly do. And the reason why I think so is because PG is one of, and the one thing about these 2010s players, these 2010s players that's still looking for big money and then looking to be the another piece on another team, they don't even understand that their game and the way that they still play at their age is not, it doesn't predicate and it doesn't complement the younger stars.
That's why he's not going to be. That's why Paul George is a complimentary player. He actually already told us that he wasn't the number one. So it's not news who he is on this Philadelphia 76ers team. We already know that. So we already know how dynamic, how fast that Maxey plays. There's no way that Paul George gets on this unit and we got to slow the game down for him. Okay, no, we're not doing that for him.
Yeah, but at the same time, my thing is that I thought Klay Thompson would have fit a whole lot better with Maxey than PG would fit just naturally, because Klay Thompson he still could play with a faster offense. You talked about him being with an Indiana or being with a Sacramento because they speed the game up, and he likes those transition threes, and he likes to get out of transition. He can still get from 3-point line to 3-point line, and he gets you a quick 9-0 run. And my thing is with PG is that I think that his style of play naturally doesn't really it's not going to complement what Maxey likes to do. That's just my whole thing on it, man. And one of the things that about these a lot of these players, when I look at him, when I look at Harden, you kind of gotta, let them be them, but at the same time, they're not gonna adapt to what other aspects of the teams are doing. And I
Leaf,
seen
Leaf, can you be honest with me for a minute? Just say it, yo. All these 2010 dudes, get them out of here. Just say it, yo.
I've been said that.
Just say it, yo.
I've been said
It's
that.
cool. Just say it. All these
I've
2010
been
dudes,
I've been
James,
said
Paul
that,
George,
but
Curry,
I'm
all of
not
them.
coming from a
Just,
place of hate.
just say it, yo.
I'm not
Get them
coming
out of
from
here.
a place of spite anymore, because I said that in the past and I meant it in the past and it's still meant to this day. But this is one of the reasons why. And I'm starting to see why, because they're not paying it forward and they're not complimenting the younger stars. They want to just pile up with a team after team after team, and then let's just put it together and let's see if it's gonna work. It's not, and you
We're gonna
starting to
see
see
it.
it.
We're gonna
You know
see.
what I'm saying?
I'm good, but we're gonna see it. Good to talk to you, Leaf. I know where to find you at, brother.
All right,
Yes,
man.
sir. Yep. What up?
Yo, Chilltown, how you doing, brother?
What's up, brother? How you running?
Good, man. I think some of the big name for me, KCP going to the Orlando Magic. I know a lot of people are not paying enough attention to it, but I do think it's a good move because the Orlando Magic need shooting. Last year they averaged 35.2% from the three. They were one of the worst 3-point shooting teams. KCP, to put him up with his perimeter defense, something that the Magic would love to have, and after all, they can defend, and
Sure.
to add another shooter for Paulo Banchero with the passing and playmaking. I do think it's beneficial, and also KCP does show up come postseason time. So I think this is going to be good for the Orlando Magic. As with the Paul George, I do think I am kind of concerned about his durability. I do think it was a plus losing Tobias Harris so that he's not back in Detroit now.
I think it's an upgrade. Sure, 100%. That's an upgrade. Paul
Right.
George and Tobias Harris. Yes, I
Yes.
definitely agree with that.
Yes. If Paul George can stay healthy, that's the key with Paul George, not his game. If he could stay healthy, and plus he would be a better situation because of his ability to catch and shoot off screens. He moves off the ball. I think with Philly, this is going to be good. But for the Knicks, not that I don't mind the Mikal Bridges trade, but all those draft picks, and this is actually beneficial for Brooklyn because no longer they have Kyrie and KD anymore. Now with all those draft picks, now they can go back and build and develop younger players, and they did in the past with Karis LeVert and Jared Allen. So I believe they can go back and do that again. I don't know with the Knicks. I do see them at least getting to the conference semis, maybe a conference finals. I still have concerns about the bench though, but and with Thibs, that's going to be a concern.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely, my man. I think about Philly and they don't move the needle for me in terms of getting past Boston or the Knicks. I don't. They don't move the needle for me like that, unfortunately. And that's when you make a move like Paul George, that's essentially what the deal is. It's very much like in football. If I'm getting Joey Bosa, right? I'm not getting Nick Bosa to just be good. No, he's the difference in us going to the NFC Championship. He's the difference in us going to the AFC Championship. Are we now better than New England? Are we now better than Green Bay? Are we better than them now? This is, I'm throwing teams out there that may be at the top of the NFC or the AFC at that point.
I understand.
Does this guy push us over the top? And I'm thinking about adding Paul George to Philadelphia. Does he push them over the top in Philadelphia? I don't think he does.
No, he doesn't. At least you'll get to a conference semis. But we did see Paul George did step up in 2021 to get the Clippers the first time in like what 50 something years to the conference finals. So you never know what type of Paul George to expect. I
Sure.
think they should go with Maxey as the number 2 and
Yeah.
Paul George as the number 3 because Maxey is ascending. Paul George is in his mid 30s. What are your thoughts about DeJounte Murray trade to
I
New Orleans?
I feel the same way about DeJounte Murray going to New Orleans like I did Bradley Beal and Booker in Phoenix. It doesn't move the needle for me because it still doesn't address the need that they have. Don't get me wrong. DeJounte Murray can pass. He is one of the better passers. Sure. I mean, I don't just only box score watch. You know, I watch guys and I watch their game. I still feel like they haven't addressed the lead guard position. Now, is
Sure.
DeJounte Murray going to play the lead guard position? I don't think that. I think he plays better off the ball, like he did in San Antonio, very much like CJ did in Portland when he was playing with Dame. I think both of those guys play better off the ball. That's why I feel like getting a lead guard. I feel like getting a lead guard would have made them much better than what they already are.
But I do think it is a plus, though, because you add another playmaker and passer other than just Zion. And I do think Atlanta won. You get 2 first-round picks. Now, obviously, they looked at it and say, okay, DeJounte and Trey. It didn't work out. Which point guard are we going to go forward with? And they would rather go forward with Trey.
Yep.
Whether or not Trey wants to be traded or not, but they want to go forward with him than DeJounte.
Right.
I do think it is a plus for Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
I hope Quinn Snyder does a good job.
Mm-hmm.
And with New Orleans,
he's a good coach too, Sport. He is. Quinn Snyder's a damn good coach. He is.
He is a good coach. He is a good coach.
Mm-hmm.
Trae Young, unfortunately, he's going to have to live with this perception about a coach killer until he and the Atlanta Hawks seem to work. You got to at least get back to the playoffs and at least get to a playoff run, at least a conference semifinals.
Sure.
But anyway, brother, take it easy, man. You enjoy
Good
the
to
rest
talk
of
to
your
you,
day.
Sport. All right, brother. What up?
What's going on, Chilltown? Good to be with you.
Yes, sir. What's going on, brother?
Yeah, not too much. Listen, we gotta look at this Paul George situation. We have to have some perspective. I'm hearing this is the best big 3 now in the NBA. That's notwithstanding the MCLs and the ACLs and all those knees. Okay, we need to have perspective. Chilltown. Reason that I am optimistic.
Mm-hmm.
I believe Paul George is a good fit for Nick Nurse's system, which is much more wide open, right? It's different than Doc Rivers' system. It's not. Doc Rivers wanted to basically old school, put everything around Embiid, have him be that dominant inside player, which he needs to do more of. But that first year with Nick Nurse, he's running and gunning. He's shooting those corner threes. He likes these versatile wing players. You look what he did with Kelly Oubre. So I think with Nick, Nick Nurse is going to get the best out of him, but I'm not even going to put them in the. They don't even belong in the same sentence as the Celtics, and they're not even in the same sentence as my New York Knicks under the leadership of Tom Thibodeau based on the power moves that we did. They did step over the Milwaukee Bucks, who that's what I think how this move. I see Milwaukee kind of sliding, and teams like Indiana coming back healthy, teams like Miami with Spoelstra's leadership and Terry Rozier, teams like Cleveland with a good coach and Kenny Atkinson, right, who shouldn't have been run out of. I feel like the Bucks is kind of an underreported. We're just kind of glossing over some of the really irreconcilable issues that they have in terms of, Dame not really wanting to be there, them giving the keys to Giannis and to be a GM and him not, you know what I mean? So with Philly, I believe in Daryl Morey guy. He has the Sloan conference here in Boston, which he pioneered. He knows his business. Nick Nurse, I like him. Elton Brand, Duke guy. Their front office is solid. Their coaching staff is solid. They have a roster now. Chilltown, I'm interested in your perspective on this. Embiid's going to have to give a little bit for Tyrese Maxey to ascend.
Sure.
In my opinion, because he's not at this Embiid. He's always been injured. So he's not going to be there every single night in and night out to be that thoroughbred. Tyrese Maxey can do that. So Embiid, you're going to play 65, 70 games. You know what I mean? You're going to be healthy for the playoffs, hopefully. But you got to give Maxey some time. And we know Paul George is not going to be there the whole time. Right. So I'd like to see, Maxey can be like the guard of the future. He's an ascending guard in the Eastern Conference,
absolutely.
All-star, possible starter in the All-Star game.
One most improved player this year.
Yeah.
He won most.
You got to give him some room to come into that role. Don't be, Joel. Don't, you know what I mean? Let we don't want a Shaq and Penny type of thing. My team, your team nonsense.
Right. I can get with that. Sure.
And
I can get with that. With that being with to your point about Joel Embiid, It's the same idea to give you some perspective. It's the same idea that I had with the Clippers. And the reason why I was out on the Clippers, because I felt like the post that was holding up that tent with James Harden, with Russell Westbrook, with Paul George, the post that was holding up that tent was one guy. That was Leonard. He's the one guy who's been there. He's the one guy who's been deep into the playoffs, taking teams to the NBA championship. But the flip side to that is he can't hold up. If he could hold up, they could make runs deep into the playoffs. So I feel the same way about this Philadelphia 76er team. As good as Maxey is, as good as Paul George could be as a complimentary player, the post that's holding up this tent is Joel Embiid. I feel like if he's healthy enough, I feel like he's good enough that he could take a team to the NBA championship. I really feel like he's good enough to do that. The problem with him is that he's made of glass. He came into the league broken. And the process of him coming into the league broken, that's just continued as his career has gone on. So I can't bet on Philadelphia off the strength of the post that's holding up this tent, not Paul George, because, again, Paul George being in his mid-30s and him being in his mid-30s, I feel like he still has another a year, maybe 2 more years at this level as a complimentary player. But the problem I'm having, Andre, is when Joel Embiid breaks down, what they're going to expect is they're going to expect Paul George to be what he used to be. And he's not that anymore. And then that's where the issues are going to happen. Whereas with Tyrese Maxey, if we're building this thing and we're basically letting Tyrese Maxey become who we think he's going to become, that's why you signed him to that max. If we're building this thing and we're going to let him become that, he can now be what we think that he can be. And Paul George can continue to be that complimentary player. And we can see him like that more as opposed to expecting him to be Paul George from what he used to be.
Maxey's another one of these Kentucky guards. I got to put him. I see him coming into a De'Aaron Fox type of a role. I see him coming into a Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and I'm going to put it out there, type of a role if you nurture and develop and let him flourish. I mean, he's a strong guard. He's obviously lightning fast. He can shoot the three. He's hungry. He can defend. He's one of the, he is a guard that he has those same type of traits. De'Aaron Fox, what he's done with the Kings, who had a little bit of, the Kings had Malik Monk. That I believe in this.
They would have made the playoffs. I think they would have made the playoffs.
And under Mike Brown's leadership and them doing the right thing and bringing Mike Brown back, that's going to be a strong team in the West. Obviously, we know what OKC is doing. Sam Presti, the moves that he's made hurt me to lose iHeart, but I'm glad iHeart got his money to go to OKC, bringing in Caruso. Bringing in these.
Being honest, I want you to keep going on, Jerry. But to be honest, I mean, to offer 15 more million, it's difficult. Especially when you probably aren't going to see a payday like that again. It's pretty difficult to turn that down. It is. Yes.
So I'm happy that he got his money for us in terms of the Knicks. Thibodeau, for all the slander that I have to hear, he can take a guy. I've heard, names like James Wiseman. I've heard, names like Clint Capella. So we're going to get.
Question for you, Andre, and I want to know how you feel about this. Would you? And this is a low risk, high reward kind of play. Would you pick up the telephone and would you call up the Trailblazers and ask for Robbie Williams? Hear me out for a second. He's only on the books for 2 more years at $25 million total, not $25 million per season total. So I get him on the cheap. He's had some injury issues, but if he could hold up, how much better we could be if he was on this roster.
That'd be great. And Robert Williams is in a situation with Portland where you got, Clinnigan coming in and you already have Ayton, so he's the odd man out there. Only thing with Robert Williams, and this is coming from the Commonwealth, in Boston, it's not just the injury issues. This is a guy that missed the team playing after he was drafted, you know what I mean, to get to Boston. He's had, maturity type of issues. And I'm not saying that the person that was drafted is the person that he is now. I'm seeing, and he was, you look at what the Time Lord did, particularly under Ime Udoka's leadership, what Ime was doing with him, having him basically be a rover, with this, and so we know with Tibbs is a defensive genius. So Robin Williams can flourish under that leadership as well. My only issue with Robert Williams is, you understand, if you come in, because I'm a Tibbs guy, I won't stand for the Tibbs slander. I'm not gonna, so Tibbs is my coach and coming to the Celtics in 2008, and he coming from the Riley tree.
Yep.
Hartenstein, if you accept the coaching, Tibbs will build you up. But if you resist the coaching, you will never see the court again. Okay,
Yeah.
Evan Fournier came to the Knicks and, gave him $20 million and he was in the rotation. He was doing good. He ran a foul at Tibbs or whatever happened. Another guy took his place. He was never seen again in the rotation. So that's my only issue with a Robert Williams or a James Wiseman. Clint Capella, I think, is about he's a worker. But Wiseman and Robert Williams, where they've had these kind of maturity issues, you know what I mean?
It's not conducive. It's not conducive for a unit like that. I can get with that. Sure,
Tibbs is not having it. So, to your point, we need a rotation big, and if he's willing to accept, then kind of bring him in. But if not, I look at, I know you got other people. One of the people that I love is Wenyen Gabriel, another Kentucky guy who is from Massachusetts. Actually, he's not a big. He plays big, like a 6'9", 6'10" guy that can guard multiple positions. He's more like Sims that the Knicks have, Jericho Sims, who's just a burly guy.
Sure.
But the reason, because Wenyen Gabriel is going to run through a wall for Tibbs.
Do you think do you think you get more production out of him than you already do Precious?
No, I like Precious. I like Precious, and again, I got another Kentucky guy coming. I just think with Precious, he maybe he got thrown into the fire without OG, meaning he went from not playing at all to we need you to save the ship. OG's out and you're going to play 40 minutes.
Yeah, that's not conducive. No.
So he did what he could, and so Precious is another guy similar to Wenyen, about the same height. Wenyen's 6'9", 6'10". He's 6'7", 6'8", but they do the same things. And that's just another guy, I just think those personalities, neither one of them is 6'10" and above, but they're bigs that are going to work that you can, if you go that you can throw them in and they can guard that 5. We just need somebody to guard the 5 and rebound. Precious is undersized to do it, but to your point, and I'm huge. I'm a continuity person, and that's my. If you're coming, you know what I mean, like LeBron and just I say my last. LeBron wanted to put the Knicks, towel over his shoulder. You know what I mean, to have the speculation. And LeBron's not built for Tibbs, and he's not built for New York.
No.
If
he was, he would have came a long time ago.
He would. It's a certain, and that's why these Nova guys, the Nova Knicks, coming from Jay Wright, the team first mentality and perspective, it just flows naturally.
Sure.
And then my thing with Tibbs is if you come in and accept it, nobody knew who I'm gonna get the heck out of here. I know I'm in my last one. Nobody knew who Jimmy Butler was until Derek Rose got injured, and he was ready.
Yep.
Okay. Tibbs, he doesn't get credit for what he does in terms of player development. So thanks for taking, you know what I mean? Robert Williams, it would work, but just come up in here ready and to work, and you'll be successful. Otherwise, you know what I mean? You'll be another kind of you don't want to be DeAndre Ayton.
Right.
Talented, but you just can't get right. Chilltown, I appreciate it. Thanks for
brother.
Time.
Absolutely. One more and I got to bounce. What up?
Nigger. Fuck me in the ass. Fuck me in the ass, nigga. Fuck me in the ass. Yeah, that's all I got. That's all I got. What's good? That's all I got. I'm team ticket. I'm team ticket.
You came up here this whole time and waited 20 minutes to say that.
I'm team ticket. I'm team ticket, nigga.
Your goofy ass off my damn lie. What the hell? Get your goofy ass out of here. What the hell? Anyway, well, ladies and gentlemen, it's that time. It was good to see you guys tonight. Absolutely. We'll see you soon. As you know, guys, the season is not over, right? We still have free agency just opened up. All right. In the process of free agency opening up, we still got a bunch of other people that we still got to get to. Still got a bunch of other people that we got to get to. And I'm loving what's going on right now, right? I'm loving what's going on right now. So I will see you guys soon. We will definitely get back into this really soon. You know where to find me if I'm not here. I'm on TikTok every morning, 9 a.m. I'm here on Monday nights. I'm here on Tuesday nights with my man Tone. We do the Fluent and Chill show Wednesday night, Thursday night. I'm not hard to find, guys. So I will see you guys soon. But until then, put on a suit, drink water, don't drink and drive. Hey, man, call your mother. When the last time you talked to your mother? Call your mother. I will talk to you guys soon. Until then, take it light, but take it. Absolutely, man. It was good.